Good afternoon or good evening, depending on when you're seeing this presentation. Today we'll be talking about Jackson and the bank war. And that picture we have there is representation of the fact that Jackson felt the bank was trying to kill him. So we'll talk about that in a second. So the Second National Bank. Jackson hated the Second National Bank. In fact, all farmers hated the Second National Bank because it seemed like they never helped the small person. And they never helped anybody in the South, and they never helped anybody in the West. The bank had great power over the nation's banking system. They controlled and limited what state banks could lend, so they essentially kept state banks from going bankrupt and losing all the depositors' money. This upset farmers that wanted to buy land and merchants that wanted to start businesses. So the guy that's in charge of the National Bank is Nicholas Biddle. Um, he's been president of the bank since 1823. Jackson accused bankers of getting rich using public funds, which is probably true. Biddle came from a wealthy family in Philadelphia. As long as Biddle ran the bank, the U.S. economy was stable and prosperous. Jackson felt the bank only benefited the wealthy and that Biddle had too much influence over members of Congress. So, in 1832, Henry Clay wanted to run for president, and he and Daniel Webster got together and tried to kind of trap Jackson um, by talking the bank into renewing its charter early. And they just knew that if Jackson refused to renew the charter, that the people of the United States would not vote for Jackson. Um, of course, this was wrong. And when Jackson heard the news, like I said, he was sick in bed. He woke up. They told him about the bank wanting to renew its charter, and he said, "The bank's trying to kill me, but I will kill the bank." And so he refused to renew the charter, but guess what? He got elected by a landslide. So Jackson told his Secretary of State, Roger B. Taney. Now remember, we talked about Roger B. Taney because later he becomes the Supreme Court Justice. Um, and he told him to stop putting money in the National Bank. And so they started putting national funds from taxes and tariffs into pet banks, state banks. And these state banks would lend money out to farmers and merchants and that type of thing. The National Bank was crippled by this. And state banks did some strange things. They issued their own paper, money, and it could be redeemed in gold or silver. Well, of course, the bank doesn't have gold or silver in it. And so many state banks failed because didn't have enough gold and silver on hand when depositors came in to reclaim their money. So poor Martin Van Buren, he becomes president in 1837, and but before that happened, everyone began borrowing money to buy land because the land was going up and up and up and up. Jackson was alarmed about how much the prices of land was going up, so he required that public land be paid for with gold or silver. And of course, people ran into the bank to get their gold and silver, and there was no gold and silver to get, so the banks failed, and the country went into a depression. A depression is a low period of economic activity. So Martin Van Buren, he believed in what was called laissez-faire economics. In other words, he was not going to interfere with the government. He felt the government would, the economy would correct itself and would be better for it. So because he didn't try to affect the economy at all, many businesses were closed, many people were unemployed. And that depression lasted 5 years. Okay, so let's look at our questions for today. Who was in charge of the National Bank? How had that person done being in charge of the National Bank? Who won the election of 1832? And what happened when state banks could not give investors silver and gold back? Okay, well, have a great day.